Shema, listen. Listen to the timeless sounds of New York's Lower East Side, the cradle of American Jewish life. The Lower East Side, more than just a page out of history. Today, over 350 years after the Jews first settled here, it often comes as a surprise that it is still a vibrant community where the past meets the present, and where Jewish culture and religious life are very much alive. Where else can you taste a kosher pickle fresh out of the barrel, or a handmade bialy baked that very morning? Orchard Street, no longer your grandma's Orchard Street, is where cutting-edge fashion and hip nightlife are now the mode. Listen again. The sounds of prayer can still be heard daily in the neighborhood's many active synagogues, filled with young and old alike. The first Jews to call the Lower East Side home were the Sephardim, the descendants of Spanish and Portuguese Jews. 23 of them arrived in 1654 in what was then New Amsterdam. The Lower East Side was almost always the place of first settlement for immigrants coming through New York. And yet, the most indelible imprint was left by the Eastern European Jews, who came in the greatest numbers and who stayed for the longest time. Back in the early 1900s, it was home to the world's largest Jewish population. German Jews, Sephardim, Eastern Europeans, and Romagnot Greek Jews. Virtually every Jew in America today has an ancestor who worked, worshipped, lived, or certainly ate here. And in the bustling life of the Lower East Side today, it's all still here. Let us show you our hidden treasures. Bialystok Shul, the jewel in the crown of Lower East Side synagogues. Built first as a church in 1826, it was a stop on the Underground Railroad. The great synagogues, Beis Medrash Hagadol, Eldridge Street, Chassam Sofer, and then there are the small one-room shtieblach, still used for study and prayer. And the tenement shuls, like Stanton Street, Mezrich, and Kehila Kadosha Yanina, the only Romagnot Greek synagogue in the Western Hemisphere, and one that maintains its unique 2,000-year-old Romagnot tradition. And then there's Community Synagogue, whose congregation and spiritual leaders' dynamic and cutting-edge philosophy of spiritual communication and connection are attracting people in this hip, arts-saturated community with jazz and Judaism. And finally, there is the magnificent Anshe Chesed, now the Angel Orensanz Foundation. Modeled after the Cologne Cathedral, it is the oldest synagogue building in New York City, home to both German and Polish Jews, and today an exciting venue for weddings, performances, and much more. There are houses of worship which have been lost to the ravages of time. The greatest among them, the first Romanian-American congregation, known as the Cantor's Carnegie Hall. Richard Tucker and Jan Pierce, among other opera greats, began their careers here. But its memory and remembrances of all Jewish life in Lower New York have been preserved through the Lower East Side Jewish Conservancy. Founded in 1998, the LESJC continues to breathe life into and increase public awareness of the many sacred Jewish sites to be found in approximately a 2-mile radius. Through its historic preservation accomplishments, cultural tours, and educational programs like A Day in the Life of the Immigrant Child. So come home to the Lower East Side, the Jewish gateway to the American dream, where new tradition builds on the old, a place where tradition will always flow, from yesterday through today to tomorrow.